Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Tuesday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk all things Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and today's report includes TJ Watt has an MVP-level performance as the Steelers beat the Giants. Could we see this Penguins line combination for the first time tonight? Marc-Andre Fleury returns for his final game in Pittsburgh, and more. As always, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the first news story of the day. TJ Watt has an MVP-level performance as the Steelers beat the Giants. Happy Victory Tuesday, Steelers Nation, as last night your Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the New York Giants 26-18 and have now won their last 22 consecutive games on Monday Night Football. The first half was once again a bit frustrating, as the Steelers have not been a good first half team this season, but at least on offense looked much better in the second half. Probably the biggest story from last night's game is that TJ Watt showed once again that he is the best player in the NFL. No, you heard me right. Not the best defensive player in the NFL, the best player in the NFL, period. Forget Defensive Player of the Year. Watt should be in the conversation for League MVP this year. Last night, Watt had 7 total tackles, 5 of them solo, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. One of the sacks being the holy trinity of pass rushing, getting a sack, forced fumble, and fumble recovery. That play couldn't have come at a better time, as the Giants were down by 1 score in the fourth quarter and looked to be picking up steam on offense as the Steelers' D was getting gashed by the run. The funniest part about Watt's game-changing strip sack and fumble recovery is that it came one-on-one against Giants right tackle Jermaine Illuminor, who said earlier in the week, quote, "I want to be on an island with him all day." Well, Jermaine, you ask and you shall receive. I know it's not a trackable stat, but if there was a way to measure how players perform in the most crucial moments of games, TJ Watt might be at the top of that list in NFL history. To try to keep this segment as short as possible, here are some other very notable Steeler performances that were crucial to Monday night's win. Quarterback Russell Wilson looks like the Russ from Seattle, going 20 of 28 for 278 yards passing and a 29-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Austin. Running back Najee Harris had his 3rd consecutive 100-yard game, running for 114 on 19 carries. And man, I know the Steelers almost never do in-season contract extensions, but it might be time to pay their former first-round pick. The final player on offense I want to highlight is wide receiver Calvin Austin, who had 3 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown, as well as a 73-yard punt return TD. On defense, outside linebacker Alex Highsmith has officially shaved off the moniker of being Robin to TJ Watt's Batman. Highsmith had 4 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and terrorized Giants quarterback Daniel Jones all night long. Defensive lineman Cam Hayward had 6 tackles and a pass defense, but his biggest stat of the night is becoming the all-time leader in games played by a defensive player in Steelers history at 202 games and counting. And finally, corner Beanie Bishop has officially been elected as the new mayor of New York City. Bishop had the game-sealing interception on the Giants' final drive, making it 3 INTs in the last 2 weeks. I know Cam Sutton is due back from suspension this week, but Bishop has earned himself equal, if not more, playing time. The Steelers have now officially accomplished Mission 1 of the season, which is stockpiling wins against lesser opponents before the bye. The Black and Gold are now 6-2 as they alone sit atop the AFC North Division standings. The Steelers now go on their bye week at the perfect time before a much more challenging second half awaits them. The Steelers officially redshirt their rookie wide receiver. A couple of hours before kickoff of Steelers-Giants last night, the Steelers placed another player on injured reserve. The player in question, and to nobody's surprise, is rookie wide receiver Roman Wilson. Wilson last week re-aggravated a hamstring injury and has missed the last handful of practices. The former Michigan Wolverine also suffered an ankle injury in training camp that kept him out for a long stretch and significantly affected his chances of getting a game day helmet. Wilson will now miss at least the next 4 weeks, but I think we all know that his rookie season is over. Roman's first year in the NFL saw him be active for just 1 game, play 5 offensive snaps, run 2 pass routes, and record 0 receptions on 0 targets. You gotta feel bad for the kid, as lots of people, including myself, were anticipating him being a decent part of this offense. However, I don't want to hear anybody call him a bust because he got injured. The training camp ankle injury he suffered wasn't even his fault, as he was landed on, and from that point forward, it was going to be an uphill battle for him to really play. Besides, Calvin Austin missed his entire rookie season with an injury, and nobody is calling him a bust right now. I expect Wilson to get healthy and return next year as one of the hungriest players on the team. Best of luck to Roman Wilson on his recovery, and see you next season. Could we see this Penguins line combination for the first time tonight? Nothing is going right for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. But, as the saying goes, desperate times call for desperate measures. On Monday, Pens head coach Mike Sullivan made quite possibly the biggest shuffling of forward lines in his tenure thus far. To best explain it before showing you, it seems as if Sully threw all the forwards into one of those 50-50 raffle ticket spinning drums and pulled them out one by one to make these new lines. Here are the new lines from Monday's practice and what we could possibly see tonight. Sidney Crosby centered Evgeny Malkin and Ricard Raquel. Kevin Hayes centered Anthony Beauvillier and Jesse Puljujärvi. Lars Eller centered Drew O'Connor and Noel Acciari. And Cody Glass centered Michael Bunting and Valtteri Puustinen. With all these forward line changes, the defensive pairs, with the defense being the worst part of the team right now, remain the same. I mean, I don't really know what to say here. This is the first time that Gino and Sid have formally been on the same line aside from the power play or overtime. You can talk me into those two being put together, but my problem lies with the second line. Beauvillier, Hayes, Puljujärvi is a decent second line maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I have no idea how they will work together as all three have had their ups and downs this season. The third line I'm actually cool with, but the fourth line also worries me. Glass has been alright, but Bunting is in Sullivan's performance doghouse, and Puustinen has played one game in which he was bad. Who knew that losing Brian Rust, which his leg injury has now been confirmed as week to week, would result in all of this? The Penguins will test these new lines when they take on the Minnesota Wild tonight at 7 p.m. on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. Will the new Malkin-Crosby line look like when Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid are paired together in Edmonton, or are these changes just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And finally, Marc-Andre Fleury prepares for his final game in Pittsburgh. Speaking of tonight's game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Minnesota Wild, it won't be just any typical regular season game. No, this one will be emotional for both players and fans. Slated to start in net tonight for the Wild is 3-time Stanley Cup champion and the Penguins' all-time wins leader, Marc-Andre Fleury. Flower returns to Pittsburgh tonight for what is expected to be the final time in his career, as he is retiring after this season. Fleury spoke with the Pittsburgh media at the Penguins practice facility yesterday about his emotions coming back to Pittsburgh. I don't know, it's always weird coming back and being on the other side. Can't say I've had my best games here either playing against them, but I'm looking forward to it. We've got a couple of days in town, so it's good to walk around a bit, see some old faces. Not that they're old, but people I haven't seen in a while. So it's always special coming back and looking forward to the game. As for his mindset heading into tonight's emotion-filled game, Fleury said, "I think just maybe deep breath. Look around, take a good look around to keep good memories. I was very fortunate to play here for so long, and like the souvenirs from this place. So it will be nice to do it one more time." Fleury isn't the only one happy that he is back in town, as Penguins captain Sidney Crosby talked about how much his former longtime teammate means to him. A great friend, someone I shared a lot of great times with, and been through a lot of adversity too. Basically growing up together in the league and trying to find our way. He means a lot to me, means a lot to the organization and the fans. Don't be shocked if you see both Sid and Flower shed a tear or two at some point tonight, along with a lot of Penguins fans. Which team wins tonight's game will be secondary to celebrating the career and legacy of one of the greatest goalies in NHL history. Puck drop for Pens Wild is scheduled for 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time, and we will get to see an awesome matchup between the Pipes' Joel Blomqvist versus Marc-Andre Fleury. Once again, and on behalf of all Penguins fans, thank you Marc-Andre Fleury for giving us lifelong memories, and we love you. Breaking news as a former Steelers wide receiver has been traded to the Baltimore Ravens. And here I thought I was done for the day. Some massive breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, from NFL insiders Ian Rappaport, Mike Garafolo, and Adam Schefter. The Baltimore Ravens have traded for Carolina Panthers and formerly Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Deontay Johnson. The malcontent Johnson was traded this past offseason to the Panthers for corner Dante Jackson and a draft pick swap. The Ravens are giving a 5th-round pick to the Panthers in return for Johnson and a 6th-round pick. In Carolina this season, Johnson had 30 receptions for 357 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Toledo product is in the last year of his current contract, so it's no surprise that the 1-7 Panthers moved him. I just can't believe that the Ravens of all teams made a wide receiver addition before the Steelers. And before you ask, no, the Steelers couldn't have just traded back for Johnson. Per NFL rules, a player cannot be reacquired by their former team within 2 years of being traded away. This now puts more pressure on the Steelers to acquire a wide receiver, as they have had trouble for the most part replacing Johnson with a legit number 2 receiver opposite George Pickens. If I could choose who the Steelers could realistically trade for right now, I would go to the same store that the Ravens just shopped at and get veteran wide receiver Adam Thielen. Regardless, the trade deadline is now just 1 week away, and even though the Steelers are 6-2 and the wide receiver room has been productive with Russell Wilson at quarterback, Omar Khan cannot keep this group as is and think it is good enough to win down the stretch. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up a Tuesday edition of the Steel City Sports Report. Again, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow with some more Pittsburgh sports news.